That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, perfect.
She pronounces it a bit like Spanish.
Yeah,
like Javier.
My family is from Buenos Aires, Argentina, so my birth name is Francisco Javier Oliveira.
That sounds very Argentinian.
It actually is. It is. Matthias, man, thank you so much for taking the time to give us a call. You guys have been doing this for quite a long time, and there was, about 5 years or so ago, we thought that we were seeing the end of the tunnel, the end of the ride for the Scorpions, and for whatever reason, you guys have decided just to keep on powering on. Where do you get your gusto, your zeal, your inspiration for continuing the machine that is the Scorpions here in 2018?
Yeah, you are right. We announced, and we were serious about it, in 2010, after releasing the album Sting in the Tail, we announced this is going to be the final farewell tour.
Yeah.
And 2.5 years later, because it takes, for us, the Scorpions, it takes forever to get around the world because we play almost everywhere.
Yeah.
So a world tour is like 2.5 years, and during that tour, we realized, we made a mistake. We announced this way too early. We have too much fun, and the fans are great, and nobody wants to let us go anyway. The promoters, the agencies, everybody said, "Are you crazy?" And I must say that the idea was it was a management idea. We never really felt comfortable with that anyway, but we thought, okay, the Scorpions are not exactly a blues band where you can sit at the age of 83 on a chair on stage, but we are running around like madmen, and maybe it's a good thing, a good timing to say bye-bye, because as long as we are fit and healthy. But I tell you, we are still fit and healthy, and it was a very good decision to say, now, okay, we have to, we want to continue, and as well as we thought we played our last show, MTV came around the corner and asked us to do MTV Unplugged, which we couldn't do in the mid-'80s because we were too busy touring.
Yeah.
But then we did that project in 2013, and then we recorded another album, and we went on tour, and then came the 50th anniversary of the band, and another reason to keep touring. And here we are. I'm in LA already. Flew in a bit early, and here we are playing Friday night at the Lake Tahoe, kicking off this tour in the U.S.
Wow, it's going to be dynamite, man. It's so nice to have you guys back stateside here. You've given us a lot of history already, but Matthias from the Scorpions is who we're talking to this afternoon. Take me way back to the nucleus of the Scorpions. How important was it for you as a band, and after you had kind of made some inroads in Germany and in Europe, to have that first big hit single here in the States? What was that feeling like?
It was for the Scorpions the most important step to get out of Europe and go to the States in 1979. We were connected to the management Lieber Krebs, and they had bands like Ted Nugent, who was very big at the time, Aerosmith, and others, and they brought us over in the summer of '79, and we played some big festivals, and we played 6 months with Ted Nugent and AC/DC as a special guest, and that really helped the band to develop, to learn, and then we did the same thing in 1980 with the album Animal Magnetism, and the song The Zoo already made it to the radio, and then in 1982 with the album Blackout and having the big hit No One Like You, that really made us being headliners ourselves.
I would call it a household name almost, right?
Yes. And then, we followed it up with Love at First Sting, which was even much bigger, with songs like Rock You Like a Hurricane and Still Loving You and others, Big City Nights, all those songs. Our album stayed in the charts for almost 2 years, and Rock You Like a Hurricane was, I think, in the top 10 for at least half a year. And so that was great and really boosted us to a whole new level. But it was very, very important for us to be able to come over to the States and get a good chance, a good spot to support Ted Nugent and AC/DC. That really helped the most.
Dynamite. You know, when I think back and listening to a song like "Winds of Change" as a kid, and really just a fan and an aspiring musician myself, tell me about the timing on that with the Berlin Wall falling. Is that something? What came first, the chicken or the egg? Was it the wall falling down and you wrote the song in response to that, or did you just kind of feel this wave of change when you went in to make the amazing song "Winds of Change"?
It started like this. I would say the egg was first. We played as the first Western band in the Soviet Union in 1988 in springtime in Leningrad, which is now called St. Petersburg again. And they didn't allow us to play in Moscow due to some festivities. They always have like May Parade or whatever, and they were preparing. They were very strange at the time anyway. And so we played 10 shows, sold-out shows in Leningrad, sold out meaning 15,000 people, 10 shows in a row. So people came from Siberia, from everywhere. And 1.5 years later, we played a big festival, 2 nights at the Lenin Stadium, 100,000 people each in Moscow, finally. And we were having, as a support, Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, Ozzy Osbourne, so American bands, and it was a great festival. And we could see the changes between early 88 and August of 89, because all of a sudden things were like starting to get a bit more colorful, and the people were easier. Some actually spoke a bit of English, and amazing changes. Details first, but then Klaus wrote the song about it, and then a year later the Berlin Wall came down. So the song is not really about the Berlin Wall, but obviously that the wall was coming down and Germany was reunited again. It was only a consequence of the changes in the Soviet Union.
Wow. Interesting story, man. Of course, the timing couldn't have been more spot on.
That's right.
You've played a couple of different types of guitars. I believe you started as a Fender Strat player and then moved on to Gibson, which both guitars have got incredibly different sounds to just the way that the body kind of resonates. Did you find it difficult to make that transition from Fender over to Gibson?
I always played both simultaneously.
Okay.
Because I still do that today. Because, if you listen to the Scorpion sound, it seems to be very humbucking, Gibson-orientated first. But then if you, for example, we just talked about Wind of Change, you couldn't do that with Gibson. You have to have a Strat and the intros even with a Telecaster. So, I bring the variety of sounds to our Scorpion sound. And so when I started out touring here in the U.S., I only had one Explorer and one Stratocaster, no spare guitar.
Wow.
I know. And then we ended up in St. Paul, Minneapolis one day, and I saw a white Explorer like mine in the display window, and I bought it. And because I had two now, I wanted to let the people know. So I came up with the idea in the dressing room just before the show to put on the black gaffer tape, those stripes, which are very famous now. And the reason was only because I wanted to let everybody know that I have more than one Explorer now.
Okay, a designation of one versus the other. That's awesome. Speaking of guitars, not to get too tech talk here, but are you familiar with a guy named Greg Golden and his multi-million-dollar guitar vault that exists here in Reno?
No. But it sounds great.
Wow. Well, he literally has a multi-million-dollar guitar vault. I was talking with a guitar player buddy of mine the other day. One of his Fender Strats has the serial number of 0000002, believe it or not. I don't know how early you guys get into the area here, but if there's any way possible, Matthias, if one person would respect going into this vault, I could make that happen. Any chance you might have some spare time to come into the Valley and go check out this guitar vault?
I know that not this time, but it's good to know.
Okay.
And we'll make everything possible to have a chance to take a look at that. That sounds amazing.
I think they're all for sale too. Every touring band that comes through town, for whatever reason, Greg's got a relationship with them, and some guys are like, I got $20,000 to spend on a nice, gold top Les Paul, and Greg will be like, that's not enough money.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Matthias Jobs from the Scorpions. So excited to see you back here in the States. You speak English very, very well. Has that always been the case, or has it been from all the touring and the time that you've spent here in the States that you've adopted it as a second or third language? And how many languages do you speak with touring all over the world?
My first language, mother tongue, is obviously German.
Yeah.
I speak English okay, as you can tell. And I speak French because I learned it at school. And in the first couple of years, when nobody spoke English in France, I had to do all the talking, and I did the interviews en français.
Yeah.
And same thing with Eastern Canada, like Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Still, they speak French to us. And, my English is quite all right, I think. I learned it in school, but obviously improved it throughout the years being on the road.
What's your favorite thing about playing here in the USA as opposed to other parts of the world?
I mean, the States have that rock and roll feel. That's it seems to it's so established here. In some other countries, we play some exotic countries as well. Who knows where New Caledonia is? It's 3 hours away from Sydney, somewhere in the Silent Ocean. But obviously, rock and roll doesn't come from there. People love it, though. Mm-hmm. But here, rock and roll has been invented, so to speak, in the States, mm-hmm. and you can still feel that. It's a certain vibe which, we feel when we are on stage. The people just, they just love to have a party and listen to rock and roll.
Speaking of partying, you guys have toured with just about every major rock band on the planet. When you first got a taste of American rock bands, you had mentioned like Aerosmith, or even you going a little younger, like Guns N' Roses and stuff like that. Were you ever shocked at the amount of debauchery that a lot of these artists get involved in backstage or in their off hours, or is that all just part of the scene? Did you have the same thing in Germany with some of the German rock bands?
No, not as much in Europe as in the States. Again, this is something that was established here in the U.S. and but we adopted quickly. We learned everything within the first tour already, and back then we played like crazy. We played 6 months. First tour, 6 months. The second one, it was like 100 shows each. Then quickly go back to Europe, record another album. Those were the hectic days. And on the Crazy World Tour in 1991, we played 9 months in the States only. Mm-hmm. And then the tour lasted 2.5 years around the world. But, if you follow a schedule play a show, then party all night, then, drive overnight maybe to the next destination and do the same thing again and again and again for 6 months, you're pretty exhausted.
Yeah, I could imagine. Who would you say is the most debaucherous American rock band that you guys went out and toured with?
Probably Motley Crue.
Motley Crue, okay, yeah. I mean, look, us regular humanoids would never have any idea, any inkling of what goes on behind the scenes with a lot of these bands, but Motley Crue is certainly notorious, aren't they? Hey, so we are so looking forward to the show. It's Matthias on the line with us from the Scorpions performing up at the beautiful Harvey's Outdoor Arena, South Lake Tahoe, Friday night. Tickets still available. You can find those at kdot.com on the web. Is there a song that you guys play that's been such a massive hit that you have to play at every single show that you play, that you are sick and tired of playing, that once you finally wrap it up, you'll say, man, if I don't ever have to play that riff again in my life, good riddance?
What's funny? Obviously, we have not played a show without Rocky Like a Hurricane since it came out. But I tell you, we would not go to the rehearsal studio and play this song.
Okay.
Because no reason. We know how to do it.
Yeah.
But as soon as we play to an audience, it never gets tired, no matter what song it is, because the way the audience reacts to Rocky Like a Hurricane or many other songs, it makes us feel excited about it, and it's fun to play it again, but only if we play to people.
Okay. With so many hits, do you ever find it challenging to dig deep into the archive and play a song like Sails of Sharon or something that's very deep that isn't always on every single tour?
Yeah, at the moment it's a bit odd to play a song that's that old because the majority of the people today don't even know them.
Yeah.
But we found it like an alternative. We have a medley of 4 songs from the 70s, which we play now. So it gives a taste to the audience who is with us since even more than 40 years, who listen to the stuff from the 70s.
That would be me.
And that goes down very well, and it's powerful versions of the 70s material.
What are those songs? Can you tell me?
Yes, of course. It's Top of the Bill. Mm-hmm. It's, let me see what comes next. Steam Rock Fever, Speedy's Coming, and Catch Your Train.
Wow. Very cool. I'm so excited to come check out this show. Like I say, I go way back with the band. I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, and one of the first jobs that I had in the on the performing side of things, I was a runner. I was a production assistant for a group called Stone City Attractions down in San Antonio.
I remember we played for Stone City Attractions. They had the T-shirt with a star.
Exactly. Yeah. And I grew up learning how to do radio under the late great Joe Anthony, the Godfather in San Antonio.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And so I was given the key to the dressing room and told to I was told you could take the next hour off, go see some of the show. It was my very first gig acting as a runner for you guys. And I believe I went off site to go grab something to eat or to watch some of the show. And I came back and the promoter was furious with me because for whatever reason, someone needed to get into the damn dressing room. And guess who was holding the key? That would be me, this punk little 16, 17-year-old kid working as a runner for the Scorpions. Man, I took a ration of crap for making that poor move. But anyway, nonetheless, we are excited to have you back here stateside and so happy that after all these years, you guys are still growing strong and still, again, after all these years, one of the best live bands out there. I've got one final question for you. Matthias from the Scorpions on the line. I was privy to be one of the only people who got a chance to interview the rock band Rammstein in Chicago several years ago. And through the translator for the singer of Rammstein, who didn't know a lick of English, I asked who would win in a street fight, Rammstein or the Scorpions, and he said we would kick their asses. What do you think about that?
I think we shall wait and see. I doubt it, pretty much.
You guys are badasses, man. I can't wait to see the show on Friday night up at Harvey South Lake Tahoe. Matthias from the Scorpions, you rock, man, and I appreciate you calling.
Yeah, Jave, great to talk to you, and see you all on Friday.
All right, we'll see you then.
Okay.
Ciao.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.